Okay. 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 Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm sure you're all following me on social media and you know that this month is about acknowledging women. I decided to try something new and to invite some inspirational ladies into my kitchen to chat about their life stories. I really don't know about you, but when I hear what other people are going through and having to deal with, it gives me strength to cope with my life and even inspires me to keep plugging away at whatever my dreams are at that specific time. So I'm hoping by inviting these ladies into my kitchen and getting to know them better will help inspire and encourage you to make changes in your life. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting to Sanele. And Sanele has started an NPO, and I hope I'm going to do it justice by saying the name properly. It's Ikusasa. And she's here today to tell us all about it and why she went down that specific road. So welcome to my kitchen and thank you very much for coming to chat today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. So tell us, how did you come to go down this road?
It's quite interesting how it happened. It wasn't something I planned. I didn't sit down and say, one day I want to have an NPO. Nothing like that. It was more of a need that I saw. So as I was growing up, I grew up in Guamashu. Still live in Guamashu. So there's a lot of things that you see sort of happening in your society, but when you're younger, you sort of oblivious to it. But the older I got, I started to realize that I'd see a lot of primary school children just hanging around in the corners, like 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds during school hours. And I would wonder, what's really going on? At first, I was like, oh, it is what it is. But as time went by, I was like, no, something needs to happen about this, because there's a growing number of these children in my neighborhood who are just hanging out on the corner of the streets. And if that's happening, what kind of adults will we become? So I approached principals and student government bodies and asked, what do they think the problem is? And they said, well, they have noticed that children who are increasingly dropping out from grade 4 onwards are usually the children that come from homes that aren't financially stable. So they can't afford certain things. And there's a lot of pressure to sort of fit in school, right? So you don't have the right school bag, or you look a certain way, and children would tease you for that. It's not like in our days where everyone would be like, oh, another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there's a lot of pressure to fit in. And so I thought, oh man, I need to at some level try and see what I can do to aid that. And that's how I got into Ikusasa NPO. So we started getting children resources, any resources to support their schooling. Start off with school bags and stationery, because obviously that's the most important part.
Yes, they need it.
And the most expensive part of an entire sort of learning experience for a child. And now we've slowly been getting into more and more things to do. I mean, now we're going through this COVID-19, which means a lot of those children don't have access to food because they have school feeding schemes. Yeah. So now we're getting into trying to provide their families with food, with electricity vouchers and whatnot, just to support. The idea is to support the learning of a child so they don't feel like there's something missing. But that's how I got into Ikusasa NPO.
Wow, well that started, I mean, as you say, started with school bag and stationery, and then to actually have to support, that's a huge task to support the child.
It is, it really is. At first glance, it seems easy, but the more you get into it, you start to realize how much more there is to growing a human.
Yeah.
Because it really is about the entire environment. It's no use if you just come to the school and hope you're here, but when you go back home, then you sort of destitute again. You need to sort of heal the entire individual. That's the end goal.
Gosh, so I'm thinking that then your biggest thing is funding.
Yes.
How is that your biggest challenge?
That is my biggest challenge, let me tell you. to have to knock on doors. I mean, everyone thinks, right? Everyone, when people speak to me, they say, "Oh, it must be so easy because everyone wants to help."
Yes.
And I'm like, darling, welcome to the world. Everyone does want to help, theoretically speaking, but it's very hard when you have to put pennies and dollars down on the table, rands and cents, and say, help with your pocket. It's been quite a hard journey, and it's still something that's challenging even to this day, trying to find funding. And I eventually abandoned all the rules that I was told on how to find funding, and was like, okay, I'm just gonna go in my own route. I find people who I think are leaders in corporate or in their own businesses, and who sort of have an ethos or values that I believe would align with Success NPO. And then I just approach them directly, because if you think you're going to write a long proposal and send it through to corporate to be, and someone's going to read it and actually come back to you, you've got another thing coming. There's so much coming into their mailboxes. I'm sure no one has the time. No one has the time to read that kind of email. So funding has been my biggest challenge, but it's something that I'm still learning how to better navigate around, so to speak.
And putting yourself out there, because you're asking continuously for the money.
Exactly. And that's another thing I think for NPOs in general, is that it becomes very tough if you haven't started getting funding at all, because then how do you prove that someone can trust you with their money?
Yeah, that's another big
proof that you're just sort of skip along going. So it is also that it's required us to have success or be on social media and have to show a lot of what we do. And now that you touch on that, there's something I actually wanted to mention. With social media, what you're doing right now is amazing, because you're showing people stories, right? And your story so other people can be inspired. And it's with NPOs, with Success NPO, it's been so tricky, because there's a lot of people on social media right now speaking about, why do you have to show pictures of you giving to people who are less fortunate, right? There's this whole debate about morality around that.
Is it your ego that you're feeding?
Is it your ego that you're feeding, or are you feeding people because you want to feed them? And when you're navigating that space as an NPO, and not just as an individual, it becomes trickier, because you need to have that shown so that other people can be inspired by it and say, hey, I can buy in and help out as
she
well.
is actually using the money for.
Using money for. So it was a moment of sort of a moral dilemma. I mean, with my team, I remember one of the guys was like, but is it okay that we're taking pictures? And I was like, well, maybe what we should do rather is ask the people if it's okay to take pictures. And if you say, no, I don't want my picture taken, then take a picture of you. And that's that, But most people are really excited. They're like, yes, thank you. Absolutely. Enthusiastic about it. So that's been quite an interesting challenge as well, that I never thought would really be a challenge, Think about helping others.
Just shows how different people are, hey?
It really does.
Okay, and on this journey, what has been like, what drives you? Because some days it must be really hard to keep going. So what is the driving force behind and the energy, because you have got so much energy, but how do you feed that?
I think my driving force really, again, stems in, there's just something in me that really wants to make a change. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was something I was born with, but there's something in me that really, really wants that. And there are definitely days where I'm like, I don't even want to get up today. Can it just go away? Can I just get someone else to do this? But in those days, I think it always helps me to come back to myself. I meditate a lot. I'm
Interesting.
I meditate.
I love that.
And when I'm not meditating and I need more energy, then I prime myself. There's this Tony Robbins priming clip that I usually use that really gets me back to center. But what it really does, it just puts into perspective on why you started.
Yes.
Right.
Just to remind you.
Why
and he's so gorgeous, isn't he? I have a picture of him on my notice board.
Well, he's not bad to look at, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, just remember why I started, but also to also forgive myself on some days. Some days I just need to say, you know what, you're not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything today.
Yeah, it's okay to have the day off.
And I already forgive myself for that, and we'll pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's also okay to rest. I think
Yes.
That's something that, as a business owner or someone who, you know, doesn't go to a traditional 9 to 5, it's very pertinent to know that it's okay to rest, because you're gonna burn out.
Yeah.
And when you burn out, then what happens to the 1,000 kids that you're helping?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Who helps them? So you need to sort of, in a sense, pour into your own cup for.
And actually, that's probably a hugely profound thing what you said there, because I think guilt comes into it a lot. You think, "Ooh, I'm not where," and I probably speak for myself, is that if I don't give it horns every day, I feel guilty. Oh, I should be working. When in fact, you're so right. Is how do we fill our cup if we don't go, actually, it's not working for me today. I'm just going to take a day and read, or whatever it is, to fill our cups. So thank you for that, because that's a big message. It's okay to take time out.
Especially women.
Yeah, you're correct. Because we wear so many hats and masks, and we do so many things.
Business person, and you're meant to live all of those, our daughter, sister, you're meant to live all of those arts 10 out of 10, because apparently we are good multitaskers, and I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely, and they do this. And it's also, I'm continuously reminded that life is about balance, and especially for me, I'm lucky my daughter reminds me, that's enough, Mum, it's time out now, and we need it. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming into my kitchen today, and for chatting, and for sharing your story with all the other incredible women out there. I really appreciate that you've taken time today.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck with your NPO.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanele, very much.
Thank you
for coming in. It's been wonderful having Sanele Ncayiyana in my kitchen today. I hope you got the tip that she shared with us, and that is that life is all about balance. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not so great at keeping a balance. I love what I do, so it's work, and then crash. And that's not how it's meant to be. We're meant to have some fun and take time out and not feel guilty about it. Ask yourself, how balanced is your life at the moment? Do you need to take a little bit of time out? I'd love you to join me again in my kitchen, where I get to welcome Odell Hadnam from Chili Sauce Design, another inspiring lady who is going to share some great tips with us. Thank you for being with me today, and please don't forget to keep an eye out on social media for the next interview. Thank you for joining me today.